6 guys come out with guns, barrel touching my head, give us your watch. I told them no, and they just started beating me in the head with these guns. The one guy went over the car like this, and he stabbed me here, shot me in the leg. They didn't get the watch. You want my shit?
Yeah.
You're gonna kill me, or I'm gonna kill you. God was definitely there. I learned a lesson in that.
What would be your advice to like a young man out there today?
All you can do is focus on yourself, get better, cut out all the noise. If you become the best man that you can be, you're gonna get the top women, you're gonna get the top.
Welcome everyone to the Punches and Prayers podcast. Today I'm hosting the first episode here in my studio. I have a very special guest, a friend of mine from 13 years. I've known him and we've had mutual friends together. And on the first episode, he's the one who reached out to me and we decided to have him here talk about different topics. I'm going to let him talk about his personal stories and different things he's done in business as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Alex Lucic. How are you, Alex?
Manip, thank you so much for having me on the podcast, bro. We've known each other for a long time. I don't know if we've ever met in person, actually.
We did in 2013 at one point.
Oh, 2000, well, you got a good memory.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So we met in 2013.
Very briefly.
Now we're finally meeting officially.
Correct.
It's amazing to be here in your podcast room.
The gym, you know.
The gym, and I'm looking forward to ripping it up with you. So let's do it.
For sure. So, I want to go really deep today. So, let's talk about who you are. Who is Alex Lucic?
So Alex Lucic, man, I came from Bosnia. I'm from a little town called Pale in Bosnia, Bosnia-Herzegovina. What's up? Beautiful town. That's where I grew up till I was about 7 years old. But my childhood was all about freedom. Like I probably spent zero time with my parents. I was outside on my bike, riding my bike around, getting into mischief. Freedom has been in my blood like since I can remember.
And what year were you born?
1988.
Okay, so you saw the whole Yugoslavian War and the bombing that happened out there.
Yeah, I was right smack in the middle of that. So
okay.
There's a big siren in town that would go off. You hear the siren and you know the planes are coming. They start bombing. There's the ground shaking. You go in the basement, and you pray for your life. But luckily, never got too close to us, and we were able to escape and come to Canada. So we went to Ottawa first for about a year, and then we went to Kitchener.
So what did your parents do out in Yugoslavia? Like what was their kind of role? What was your mother's role? What was your dad's role?
So
what kind of life did they live?
My parents had an amazing life back in Yugoslavia. My dad was an engineer. My mom had a great job at the bank. They had the ideal life, right? But then the war came out, and they pretty much lost it all. And they were my age that I am now when they had to pick us up and move to Canada to basically start from nothing. We came here, we were at the refugee center for like 3 months. I was eating cereal every morning, watching The Lion King. I mean, it was just, survival.
Yeah,
right?
so you grew up in the 90s. You know what it's like to grow up in tough times, because that was the last recession. I remember, like I grew up in the 90s as well. And I remember we grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment it's 5 of us.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
How many siblings were you?
Me and my sister.
Okay, so it's just 2 of you.
Yeah, 2 of us, yeah.
And what's the age gap that you guys have?
She's 5 years older than me.
Okay.
And we've recently actually gotten into a venture together, and now we're working together on a mission that we're both super passionate about. And we're going to change the world, so I'm super excited to be working with her on that.
Good. So how was it growing up with your sister? How was that dynamic of growing up as a Serbian kid with a sister, and you have probably other friends that have brothers around and this and that? How's that being an only man in the house as a child, right? I wonder because I'm 4 brothers and a sister. So.
That's a good question. Now that you mention it, I don't really remember. I just know I was always outside. I was either playing soccer, on the bike, or getting into trouble. My sister was doing her own thing, I'm pretty sure, until later on in life when we really got a lot closer.
Okay. So going from there and tell me a little bit more, so how was your teenage? You grew up here in Canada and in the system here in Kitchener. What kind of obstacles did you see? And fast forward to today, where are you now?
Yeah, so I was the kid in school that, when you're in grade school, you're in grade 5, you're in grade 6, and Christmas holidays come around, and then after the Christmas holidays, first day back in the classroom, everyone's going around the class talking about what they got for Christmas. This guy got a PlayStation, this guy got, and every time I knew when it got to me, I'm like, I didn't really get anything. So it was always it hurt me deep inside. You know what I mean?
So you're around rich kids.
Sorry?
You're around rich kids.
Maybe not even so rich kids, but spoiled kids, right? Whereas I didn't really get anything for Christmas. Now, not that, my parents provided everything for us. We had food to eat, we had amazing shelter, we had a great life, but as far as things that I wanted, never really got those things, which is totally fine now. Later in life, I appreciate that because it sparked a fire in me where I want to go out there and get all that for myself and for the people around me. But it was those moments where, it comes around to you in the classroom and you really don't know what to say because maybe I got a pair of pants or whatever, and these kids are getting PlayStations and all these different kinds of things. So that really, moments like that really inspired me or pushed me, hurt me to the point where I'm like, when I grow up, I'm going to do whatever I can to.
And where was this in Kitchener? Like, which part of Kitchener were you growing up in? Like, tell me more. Is it Akiva or something?
Stanley Park area. I went to Crestview. Crestview Public School, the Hood.
The Hood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And what kind of jobs did you hold? So what was your first job? Like, tell people, like, what was your first kind of job and where did you start and where you are today?
This is crazy because I don't even think about this stuff. But my first job, I remember my sister worked at Milton's restaurant.
Okay. Where's that?
It's like a dive. It's like King and
King in Ottawa?
King and Fairway.
Oh, King and Fairway.
King and Fairway. Milton's restaurant. My sister had a job. Hood. She was a server, and she was like, I was like, "Can you
if
get?" If
you're from Kitchener, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Kitchener.
Yeah.
And Milton's.
yeah.
So I was like, "Can you get me a job?" She's like, "Yeah, I can get you a job as a dishwasher." She's like, "But you don't want that job. Like, you don't want to work here." I'm like, "I don't care what it is. Get me the job. I just want to make money." And so I worked there for like 4 months. The entire summer I worked there so hard that I ended up getting hives because it was so nasty in that freaking dishwashing room. But I was like, I'm just gonna do whatever I can to make money because I was just hungry. That was the first taste of me actually making some money. Okay. Making some real money.
Okay. And how old were you then? Exactly.
I was like probably 15.
Okay.
14, 15.
And fast forward now, you have this company. It's called Black and Yellow Pavement, right? Correct?
Yeah,
Correct me if I'm wrong. Black and Yellow.
So I'm in the paving business. Black and Yellow Pavement started it in 2012.
Yeah.
I remember, I was into gambling throughout college. I dropped out of Laurier, didn't finish Conestoga, and then.
That's okay. Similar stories, man.
Yeah. So I had one course left to finish Conestoga, and I didn't finish it. I actually went to one interview at Challenger.
Yeah.
I walked into that interview. There was 3 people interviewing me. I thought I crushed it. But I walked out of there and I was like, I'm never going back to another interview again. And I got through some other stuff, gambling, playing a lot of poker. I lost pretty much all the money I had, which was around 12 grand at the time. A lot of money to me back then because I had nothing, right?
So what would you tell a young man who's getting into gambling? What advice would you give him? Like just because we talk about masculinity, we talk about men improving their lives. As a man that went through that catastrophe of losing money and it's an addiction. I know a lot of people that go through. I know people that lost their businesses in gambling. I literally know guys that had. There's a guy I know that had like 20 gas stations.
Yeah.
Gambled his entire fortune and he was on the streets and his family left him.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So what would you advise about all these kids that are like, oh, I want to do sports betting or I want to bet on Jake Paul today?
I mean, look, there are certain people that are gonna crush it in gambling. If you're Dan Bilzerian or you're Daniel Negreanu, you're gonna be a professional poker player. Those are few people.
But what's the probability of being a man and making that as a living?
It's very, very, like with anything though, right? Whether you're gambling, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in the health business, whether you're trying to get fit, it's all going to be super hard, right? But with gambling, it's super addicting, whereas if you get into that, you start winning, and then you start losing, you can literally lose everything. And that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
But now it pushed me to the point where I decided, okay, that's not going to be my life. When I lost everything, I decided to go full in on my business, and I built my business to now I'm at the point where I go to Vegas. Been to Vegas 3 or 4 times. Haven't even touched the blackjack table. Haven't touched the poker table. I walk through the casinos. I don't even want to do it because it's just not. It doesn't. There's nothing in it there for me, right? I'd rather build my own success and go through the struggles and the failures of becoming the man that you need to become, right? As opposed to just trying to win some money on blackjack or poker or whatever, because that doesn't really build your character.
So tell me more about the like, how did the seal coating start? How did all that start? Like, what was the origins of that story?
So there was a company when I was in Laurier. I don't know, maybe you were in Laurier too.
Yeah. I was around. I was around all that stuff.
Yeah, there was a company called Spring Masters, and they were recruiting people to
I know Spring Master too.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. So it's more of a door-to-door model, right?
Yes. Yeah, so they were recruiting people to go door to door, and I went there. I worked for them with them for 1 day.
Okay.
And then I was like, I can do this myself. So I went. I bought a driveway ceiling unit. Bought a little trailer. Did it with my friend, and we started going door to door. And we did that for about 2 years. Just in the summer, it was just.
This is residential.
This is residential, yeah. This is like 2009, 2010,
okay.
Right? So we made a little bit of money, but whatever. And then when I lost all the money in poker, I decided to go, I'm going all in on black and yellow. I went on Kijiji. I was like, I need to buy a truck. I went on Kijiji, I was looking for it, and this black and yellow truck showed up.
Nothing like the Raptor right now that you have. It's nothing like the Raptor, was it?
Nothing like the Raptor, but the same color scheme. It was that black and yellow truck. I'm like, that's the one.
Yeah.
I bought it. I actually went to my dad, and I was like, listen, I need 14 grand. I'm going to buy a truck. I'm going to buy a trailer. I'm going to start my business. He had no questions to ask. He was like, here you go.
Wow.
Do it.
Wow. So just to since you brought that up, like, I just want to intervene for a sec. What is the role of a man and his father in today's day and age, and what do you think about all these fatherless homes and kids growing in these single mother households today, especially when no father figure around, and some of these girls that are out there that are woke or in this feminist ideology where they could say, I don't need the man in my life, and you just said that your father gave you the 14 grand that you needed right away. Like, what's the role of your father like in your life, and what would you think in today's day and age? How would you compare that of the role of a father?
I think as a little boy, you need somebody to look up to, and I think for every boy that needs to be their father. And I think a lot of these kids these days are missing their father, and I think it has a huge role in how it plays in how they grow up and how they end up in life. But at the end of the day, it's always down to the individual, because you can have a person with no father that decides to use that as a reason. You could have a person that had no father and use it as an excuse.
But we look at statistics, right?
The statistics show otherwise.
Yeah,
for
I'm
sure.
saying statistically, they're talking about how most crimes come from fatherless homes. Most kids that are troubled youth comes from fatherless homes. Most teenage pregnancies for women come from fatherless homes.
100%.
So since you had a sister as well, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of her. I don't know if you can, but how was her role with the father? So
I can't speak to her role with the father, but my dad taught me so many different lessons. He worked really hard. He drove to Mississauga every day, an hour there, an hour back, and then he would drive me to soccer practice and soccer games all across Ontario after work. Never once complained. So that showed me, that you can't complain, right? You got to work hard. You got to do what you got to do, and don't ever complain. So that's why you'll never find me complaining about really anything.
And your parents are together?
My parents are together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
And another thing my dad taught me was to always be on time, to be a man of your word. All these different things that
my dad said if you're on time, you're already late.
We were always an hour early to every practice.
Okay, good.
We were there first and an hour early, even though we had to drive an hour there.
Yeah.
We were always an hour early to the point where if I gotta be somewhere, like
you came here 30 minutes.
I was here 30 minutes early, but I was
just
here
telling him the same thing.
I was here earlier than that.
I was telling Ramy the same thing. I'm like, listen, you see, all successful people, like one of the things I always told him too, even when I was first dealing with him, is that you gotta, if you're on time, you're already late. You're already late.
That's it.
100%. I tell the same thing to my brothers. My
100%.
brothers just work with me.
If you're late, it's your fault. Doesn't matter if there was traffic. Doesn't matter if you got to plan to be there an hour ahead of time. And this is for everything in life. You got to plan for that thing so that you know you're going to be there an hour early.
I agree.
Otherwise,
with you 100%.
You can't leave it out to the external world, because if you do, you're getting nowhere.
100%. I agree so much with you on that. Like that's like one of my sayings to every young person that works with me is like, hey, if you're on time, you're already late, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I made it on time. Like, you got to be there 20 minutes before.
100%.
Right?
Unless you're one of those people that can just show up like on the dot every time.
It's never gonna work though.
I know. Yeah. I knew a guy that. Yeah. 100%.
So, anyways, so the story is your father gave you the 14 grand, correct? Right?
Yep.
You bought the truck.
The truck.
And then where'd you go? What happened from there onwards?
And so, but before we went to go buy the truck, I was talking to my dad's friend who's a mechanic, because we were gonna get him to come take a look at the truck, make sure it's good or whatever. And he was like, hey kid, like, do you have any sales lined up? Like, you're just gonna go buy this truck and you're gonna start this business? Like, are you crazy? I'm like, no, I don't have any sales, but like, I'm all in, like, I'm doing this. I have no other choice. And so we bought the truck, and from there it was pretty much waking up every morning at 4:30 in the morning. I would go pick up Igor. You know Igor?
I know him really well.
And we would go
Just to tell you about Igor, I don't know if I can speak, but Igor, if you're listening, Igor knows me really well. I met him through a pizza. He was delivering pizza.
Okay.
Yeah. He showed up at my door, this jacked up guy showing up to give me pizza. And this was like 2009, 10 or something, bro.
Yeah.
And the guy I had this Volkswagen Golf or something. He started talking to me about it. He's like, hey, man, Serbians love their, V-dubs and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, you're not going to even fit in this thing, bro. Look at you. It was a tank, bro. The guy was tank. Showed up at my house with a pizza. I don't know, some Indian pizza store or whatever in Kitchener back in the day. But we've been friends since. I talked to him on Instagram here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how me and him know each other.
Yeah. So Igor, we would literally, I would pick him up at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
We would go grab Sealer in Toronto, and then we would go knock doors till like 10 p.m.
Oh, really? Eh?
And then 4:30 a.m. next day again. But he would actually go to the gym after that too.
Yeah. So you built your entire business from door to door.
I started going door to door for about two years. We did that, and then I changed the name to Black and Yellow. Flipped it to commercial. Yeah. And then we were commercial ever since.
Okay. And how'd you get your commercial clients?
Commercial clients, once we switched our strategy to the Black and Yellow business, it was more commercial faced. We had a great website. We looked like a bigger company, and that's what started attracting, the bigger parking lots, the bigger clients.
Fast forward, like, you started Black and Yellow in like 2013?
2012.
And where are you guys now today in 2024 with that business?
So we're crushing it. We've been growing a lot through the pandemic. We're actually opening up Toronto location. Doing that with one of my best friends here in Toronto. But we're steady. We're crushing it. We're one of the top seal coating businesses in Ontario. As a brand, we're known throughout North America.
What are you guys turning around a year right now, if you don't mind me asking, roughly?
In revenues?
Yeah, revenue. Yeah.
We're just under $3 million a year.
Nice. Yeah. And what's kind of like the profit margin for? I just want to for the viewers that are listening to understand like what kind of profits are available in a business like that, right?
In a business like that, we have great margins, bro.
Yeah. So like
it's a great business, like probably left with 50%.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good.
It's really good.
So you're topping plus 30%.
Oh yeah.
As long as you're plus 30%, you're pretty much done.
100%.
It's amazing.
You have businesses that you left with 10% at the end. It's like it's even worth it, right?
And what's your like unique selling proposition like? So in your business, what is it that makes your proposition different from your competitors?
Well, we answer the phones quick. We're honest. We're trustworthy. We do the best work. We show up on time. We keep our clients happy. That's all you got to do. I mean, in this day and age, right? Because everybody else, it's if you want to win, it's the easiest time in the world to win right now because everybody else is just slacking. They don't care. They don't show up. They're not on time. They don't do what they say they're going to do. You just got to check all those simple boxes off, and that's your proposition right there. They're going to choose you every single time.
I always say the same thing. I always tell all my friends, I'm like, to be successful, it's not about big moves, bro. You think it's about big moves. Yeah. It's about doing the small moves over and over and over and over again, and then eventually getting the result.
Yes.
I love, like, for example, Jay Waller talks about it. I'm sure you've seen his video where he
100%.
says, work.
Yeah.
Didn't get paid.
Yeah.
Work. Didn't get paid.
Yeah.
Work. Came closer. Bam, got paid. Right?
That's it.
Right?
And if you can do that over a long period of time,
you're
gonna hit it when it becomes easy.
Yeah.
But those first 3 to 5 years, maybe even for some people more, like you're gonna want to quit. It's gonna test you to your core, right? And that's why most people end up quitting, because they get punched in the face.
So to talk about that, quitting. What do you think it is today, where today's society, whether you see in life, whether it's marriage, relationships, personal, business, everything you see around today is a bunch of quitters. People quit on everything. And why do you think that is? Why do you think that generation is like that today? Where they quit after the first test that comes. Like a marriage will fail because of the first test in a marriage. A relationship will fail because of a first test. Like why is it that the generation today is being prepared for this type of a mentality where it's like, okay, in business, for example, I train sales guys, and they get a couple no's or they can't close a deal, and they're like, this is not for me. Like I deal with this my whole life. I've been a sales trainer my whole life, right?
Yeah.
And I don't understand. Like what makes them? Is it a wiring issue? Is it a programming issue? Is it a school issue? Is it a parenting issue? What do you think it is?
I think it's desire and belief. If you don't have the desire, if you don't have the belief that you can actually do it, or that you're gonna do it no matter what, you're gonna quit. because it's too hard. It's too hard to get through that fire if you have no desire, if you have no belief. Yeah, maybe you want this thing, but how bad do you really want it? Right? So people start walking through that fire and it starts to burn a little bit and they quit because it's really easy to quit, but it's super painful to keep going through that fire. And so, I mean, I don't think it's a matter of like right now. I think it's been like that always, right? That's why they call it the 1%, because not everybody can walk through that fire and get to the other side of that fire. On the other side of that fire, on the other side of discomfort, on the other side of pain, that's where all the glory is. But most people, they're just okay with standing on this side of the fire, and I'm not one of those people.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more. I know I've been following you online on Instagram for a while, and I mean, you always exchange DMs and stuff, and I saw the new venture that you got involved in. Can you tell the audience a little bit more about your other venture that you're a part of, that you're trying to do, and what's your mission behind that?
Yeah.
So I'll let you talk about that. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So I mean, Unicity, when my friend in January 2023, KT messaged me and he was like, "Hey, bro,
what's his full name? KT. What's KT?
KT the cockroach. You see him on Instagram.
And what's his name?
Christian.
Okay.
Christian Todorov.
Okay.
Yeah. He messaged me. He was like, "Alex, come check out this Unicity thing." And like everybody else, like you said to me, I was like, "No, it's not for me, bro. Thank you, but it's not for me." I wasn't that polite, but I was like, "No chance."
Why were you rude, bro?
Just the way we are together. We're just like that towards each other. Anyways, he didn't give up on me. He kept inviting me, and finally he broke down the wall to where I was like, "Fine, I'll come out. I'll come see what it is, but there's zero chance of me doing this business."
Okay.
So I drove out to Hamilton. They were doing a presentation. Like I said, 0% chance of me doing this business on my drive there. Sat in on the presentation. I listened to what they had to say, and I realized that if what they were saying was true, this is an insane opportunity, not only to help people with their health, because the whole population is struggling, but also to make a lot of money. And so I actually ended up joining the team on the spot after I saw, what it was about. And since then, I mean, when you join a business like this, people come at you, people tell,
of course.
People tell you their opinions, people have bad experiences with these kind of businesses, but when you believe in something and when you're actually changing people's lives, there's really nothing that can stop you. And we've helped so many people now. Think about in the population right now, how many people are struggling with diabetes, cholesterol, brain fog, fatigue, energy issues? Everybody, right? And we had a product that people needed, nobody knew about it. And so we're getting it out to the market, we're changing the world. My sister, like I said earlier, she's joined the mission with me now, she's crushing it.
And what else did your sister do on top of this? Like, what was she doing?
So my sister actually works for the government.
Oh, what did she do?
She was an auditor.
Okay.
And she works for the CRA.
Got it. So
she went on a completely different path.
Is she in that office in Kitchener, in downtown?
She's working from home right now.
Okay, but she was in that office before?
She was,
I know where that office is, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but a lot of your people worked at that office. A lot of Serbian, Bosnian, whatever people worked in that office, yeah. I'm going to go talk, since our channel is about, masculinity. It's about, I don't know if you know, I've been following our work, but, this channel was born out of stuff that I went through in life, and my whole goal is, at the end of the day, for men to learn from other men and understand what it is of being a man today in the West, and dealing with the feminism, dealing with these woke ideologies, dealing with ruining the household, taking parental alienation, taking your kids away. What do you think is happening today of being a man? Like, how, like, you've been around and you're 36, you're still not married, correct?
No, not yet.
Correct, you're not married yet, and I'm sure you've met women and stuff, but what would you say is like what is it that you kind of see out in the market today of like what's the root of the problem? What's the cause of all the problem when it comes to masculinity, and why are people inclined towards figures like Andrew Tate or somebody else that comes out and their message is so appealing today for young men? What do you think is the reason behind all of this massive movement, whether it's Donald Trump winning, whether it's, I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Tell me, what do you think it is, man?
I mean, I think, first of all, I think the world is super soft. And I think that most men have just given up because they're being pounded by the media. They're being pounded by their women. They're being pounded by their families. I mean, you've been through it, right? Yeah.
They're pandering to women, not even pounding.
They're pandering to women.
That's the word I use, is pandering. I'm tired of the pandering.
100%.
Right?
But what I can say about that is that if you're a man and you can put in that work, your life is going to be incredible, right? if you can actually, like I said before, go through that fire, if you can just work on yourself. The answer to everything is become the best man that you can be, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually. If you can get better every single day as a man, and cloud out all the other noise, forget about the women, forget about the media, forget about the government. If you can be the best version of you that you can be, and you continue to do that day after day after day after day, you're gonna live a life that 99% of men don't get to live. And I mean, even for men today, how many men go through life, not even women, but not even other men notice them. Nobody even knows that they're alive. Think about, as a man, what kind of a life that is.
Well, I think it starts off from the home, because a lot of these men, like even people from our communities, let's say, sir, like, just be honest, like, were they even men? Did they even live their lives? Like, sometimes I question a lot of the uncles in our community and stuff, and I talked to the guy that's 55 or 60, and he was once 30, 34, and I was 17, talking to him. And now I'm 34, and they're 55 or whatever, 17 years apart. And man, they have just so much regret. They have so much deep regret, and they've accomplished everything else. Like, what they thought that they were living for example, saving up for their kids or this or that or the other, they never even got to be themselves. And to me, my whole thing is, as a man, you will get pressured in life, whether it's pandering to these women today, your wife or whatever. Are you willing to leave it all to be yourself and to live true to yourself? Live true to not only yourself, but what God has for you, the rights that God has for you. I don't think any man gets that right today.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't even get that right.
They 100% don't.
Like, from the woman, they're not even getting that right. And if you demand that right, you're seen like a misogynist, an evil person, and this or that. And I'm just saying this because most men, when I was going through what I was going through, and I coach a lot of men, right? Like, my whole thing was, when I was put in that 6x6 cell, I was like, yo, this is bullshit, but I'd rather have fun. And I'm in there with these other men crying in these jail cells. They're crying like, oh, I want to go back to the wife. I'm like, why would you want to go back to her? I'm like, she put you here. She put these fake charges on you or whatever. Why would you want to go back to her? They're like, no, I miss her. I miss this. I'm like, the fact that, and here's the crazy part I'll even say. A lot of these men say that they don't even have, they never made themselves a man to even have a choice to go to somebody else.
And that's
they know they can't do better,
and that's
right?
The problem. So
my thing is, when I was in there, I was like, yo, God put me here. It's all good. I was doing 200 push-ups. Even on my release, my lawyer was on the video. He's like, yo, why do you have so many veins popping out of you? Well, I did like 200 push-ups on night because it's freezing in those holding cells, right? And I'm just like, I was sweating by the end of it. I didn't sleep all night. I didn't eat. The first time I went around. And my whole goal is, hey, as a man, you're going to go through this, because in my group, we have lots of men, bro. All sorts of accusations and stuff. Like, I don't want to even go into it because it's such heinous stuff that women would do. It's a similar thing. It's all women do this eventually to these men because their lawyers tell them that, oh, you got to do this or that and ruin the house. That's one thing. Okay, the woman does it. But it's funny, like, even I know some men, I'm not going to say names and who they are, but they were saying like, like, I never even had intimacy with my wife for the past 3 years, and I still didn't go on and tell her that I needed, my rights as a man. You know what I'm talking about? And eventually that wife ended up leaving the man anyways. 100%. But the guy that's always talking like that, it's a fat, obese guy. It's a guy who talks a lot of big game. He talks like when you talk to him in person, he talks like the biggest man in the world. But in reality, like, he's not about that life, right? Why is our society like that? And what's the answer to that? Like, my whole goal at the end of the day with this podcast and is for men to just understand the lies, right? Like, for example, a woman can say today, like, even women today, when they message you and stuff and say, oh, I'll be with you forever, or I will take a charge for you, I will. Oh, I've heard stuff like this. I'm willing to go sleep under a bridge with you, no matter. It's not about the money. But when the same woman, when they leave, they bring up all the things that man never did. You could do everything for a woman, pay for her entire, and she'll say, oh, but you didn't buy me a house. Oh, but you didn't do this. So what do you say to those men? Or what do you say to a man in general when he's living? Should he live with this aspect of what a woman's going to do, or he just lives his life and whatever happens, happens? What And how does he deal with the societal pressure of what a man is and people calling him like, oh, you don't care about this or that? Because at the end of the day, sometimes you could care too much, but you can end up behind a bar. You can end up behind bars. So what would you say to all that?
Well, first of all,
I know I went all over, but like
that was a lot. Yeah,
I'm sure you're understanding what I'm talking about.
100%. First of all women are wired to try and preserve you as a man. They'll find you as a man, but then all the things they like about you, they're going to try to diminish over time because they don't want you to go somewhere else. But as a man, you have to know that if you start pandering to her, she's going to respect you less and less. And if you keep doing what she tells you to do, she's going to end up leaving you anyways.
But here's I want to stop there for a sec. Because should he even care about what the woman's going to do or not? That's the question I have. Like, should he care? Like, even if he's, forget the pandering, let's say he doesn't pander and she still leaves, should he have that in his back of his mind that, oh, this woman's going to leave me? Or should a man just be who he is and be true to himself and live like a real G? Or should he always have this fear of leaving or a woman controlling a certain aspect of his life?
Well, I think the only power you have as a man is being able to walk away. Okay. That's the only power you have as a man.
Okay.
So if you can't just walk away, you're stuck to this woman forever, and she's basically going to control you. But
most men have to be for the kids. What do you do in that situation? Right? She uses the kids against you. Because I can tell you stories. Like, there's guys in my group, bro. There's a really, really successful guy in my group, and this is a story. If you guys are enjoying the podcast so far, I would highly recommend subscribe, like, and share our content. We're going to be coming with a lot of guests, and let's get back into the podcast. 32 years married, gets a divorce at 65, gives the wife everything. Bro, gives the broad everything. Gives her the house, the cottages, the cars, says take all the material shit, right? Which most men do, bro. I've seen men do that, right? Give her everything. Say, take it. It's all good. 65 years old, and his kids are our age group, 35, 36.
Yeah.
And he moves in his mother's basement to take care of his sick mother. And all he said to his ex is, I just want a relationship with my kids. And she knew that was a soft spot. She told the kids all evil things about the father and this, that, and how this whole marriage was a sham. Because women never appreciate the good that you do, right? When it's time to leave, they'll never, you know what I'm talking about. Any girl you sit with that you say, oh, what was the situation with you and your ex? You'll barely hear something good. There are good women. We're not saying this, by the way, 100%. Just to make a statement. We're saying what happens.
Yes.
Is you always hear, but he was not this, or he was not that, or he didn't do this, or he didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? It's always something around that, right? So this guy, he gives her everything, and guess what she does? She tells the kids to call the cops on him, gets him a harassment charge. Okay, here they throw a harassment charge. In domestic, they throw charges like, so, they throw these harassment charges like no tomorrow, and now he can't even see his own grown-ass kids. So what do you say to a man like, he did everything, he checked off every box, right? Successful guy, right? So my thing is, what's the answer to that? When a man pandered to a woman for 30 years, like, is this what type of issue, this issue that exists today with this calling of police in all matters and getting the state involved? Personally, like, my advice to young men out there is to not even get the government involved in your marriage. Like, I don't believe in this paper marriage or getting or without a prenup, like, mistakes, right? Like,
even if you have a prenup, I mean,
yeah,
in Canada, in the West, it's not in your best interest as a man to actually get married with the government. You want to do it on the back end at the church, for sure. Do what you got to do.
The church, the mosque, do
what you got to do, but if that woman doesn't have that desire for you, you can give her $10 billion. She won't give it. She'll go and bang the next guy with the $10 billion tomorrow.
Yeah.
She doesn't
care.
Or
the guy that works at McDonald's.
Or the guy that doesn't matter who
Or the guy that works at McDonald's.
100%.
I know stories like that, bro. Right? There's a guy I know that he gave his wife everything.
100%.
A Kitchener homie. He gave her everything, worked 3 jobs. The girl leaves him and then goes with a guy that's working at McDonald's and takes all his wealth too. Takes 50% of his wealth, because that's just how the system works here, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think? Let's talk more about, like, I mean, you're in business, you've seen men. How does a man insulate himself when he's in this matrix? For example, guys like me and you, thank God we have businesses. Like, we're not stuck to a matrix. Yes, we operate in the matrix, we pay taxes, whatever, but we're still not, we don't have to clock in, clock out, right? And we're blessed that way, thank God. We have corporations, there's nothing on our name, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So there's insulation. So what would you say a man does in this situation? Like, he wants to have kids, he wants to be with a woman, he wants to provide, he actually has good intention, whether the woman is with him or not. But what does he do in this type of situation? Because more and more men are scared, and I'm gladly, I know we haven't spoken off camera yet, but I'm just gonna speak on camera. Like, you haven't got married for a reason. and then you're still not, you're not with a girl right now, as far as I know.
I am, yeah, I have a girlfriend.
You have a girlfriend now? Okay, good. I didn't know that. Okay. So, but you were with a girlfriend, you've been with girls, and you've seen what happens in today's dating dynamic or whatever.
100%.
What would you do as a man? Like, what's your next step, and what would you advise other people to do based on the current dynamics?
My answer is always going to be the same. Become the best version of yourself that you can be. Become as masculine as possible, become as rich as possible. Become to the point where you just don't care. You could have a 10 out of 10 standing right there. You just don't give a fuck. That's straight up, that's the point where I am right now, where girls, like, I do not care. When you get to that level of not caring, a woman can't control. You won't even get into that situation because after seeing so many women, you know exactly how they act. You know which one's good. You know which one's bad. You've seen those little red flags.
But what about the woman that was good and then she turns on you, right? Because there's a lot of that. There are women that didn't give red flags. They did everything right by the book. But like I said, 30, like, when I sit with anybody and somebody says, oh, like, let's say it's a girl, right? She's married 18 years. And whenever you ask her, like, hey, tell me something good about your ex. You barely hear that.
Yeah.
But you can't, it's just not possible scientifically that 18 years were all bad, right? Like, in our religion, in the book, God says that even when you leave each other, like, remember the good between each other. Remember the good, right? And as a man, like, I'll always talk the good parts, right? In terms of my exes or whatever, like, but a lot of people would always be like, it's always like bad or this or that, especially the women, right? That, like, Alex was never enough. Alex was working too much. He was psychopathic. He was too much into this business or that, or he never really cared. He never bought me the house. He never bought me this, my dream, this or that. He never took me to Dubai like the other girls went on. But what about the 5 vacations on Mexico? They won't talk about that.
Yeah, but you'll notice they'll never talk bad about the nice guy that treated them very good.
Either.
Because they don't give a shit about that guy.
Correct. But they don't
if they're complaining about you, if they're saying all these things, they still care about you. They're still in love with you.
Maybe,
right?
Maybe, bro. I don't know. It's just, for me, like, when I see this, like, the stories that I see, it's like, where are we today where it's like, it's always bad. And most men, like, their exes use the kids against them, right? So, like, the new generation of men that I talk to that are, like, coming up, youngins, the 20s, they don't want to even get married and have kids. And all we're doing is what these women don't understand is none of their so-called friends that get them into this feminist, thing of calling cops or getting into this thing. They don't give a shit about them either. Yeah. About their kids, what's gonna happen. But they pump them up, and
I think the problem is, men fall in love way too quick.
Okay.
And women can hide it for 2 years. Maybe 2 years. They can hide their crazy. They can hide their red flags. They treat you amazing until you get married, and now the ball's in their court. They can do whatever they want, and you just got to sit there.
Yeah.
So you have 2 years to figure out, okay, is this person really the person she says that she is?
But even right now,
most guys just rush into a relationship, rush into a marriage, because they're just been programmed by the movies, by Disney, that, this fairy tale. There's no such thing as a fairy tale.
Well, you know Richard Cooper, right? Yes. You know Rich Cooper personally, right? Yeah. You know him. You've been on rallies with him and 100%. Stuff. He's one of the guys that inspired me to even come up with this content. So I was following him.
He's inspired me a lot too.
Yeah, I was following his content, but even he talks about these things that it's like it'll never be enough for these women, right? And if you read his book, The Unplugged Alpha, like, I love that book, right? Like, I want to make the Muslim version of that book. That's one of my goals, is like like with the Islamic context behind it. But it's like for me, like, I know this is going to be controversial and whatnot, but at this point, I genuinely don't believe that a man is made for one woman, even in his journey, especially high value man. Like, I don't think you're made for one woman going around. I don't think that's a thing. Like, this whole concept of one man, one wife, one mortgage, and then she gets to screw you anyways is the dumbest deal of the century, bro. It's the dumbest deal.
It's terrible.
I can tell you, like, going through it and seeing, like, the amount of stuff I see on a daily, right, with men talking to me, right, because I talked about 11 men a day, 11, 12 guys a day reach out to me. And always there's two sides of a story. And I'm not saying that there are bad men. Let's get this clear here. I'm not saying but there's a lot of BS, bro. And I know this personally. I have friends that are police officers, correctional officers. They're tired of it. They're like, yo, we have to go respond to this domestic bullshit. A lot of it is all BS. 96% of it is just to fund the system, because that's majority of their calls. You could, right now in Toronto, have a guy in your house coming to try to steal everything in your house. Literally collect everything. You call the police. Like, yes, let him do it. We'll come whenever we come. Right? Literally. I'm not kidding. The guy could have a gun on him, knife on him. But if a woman just picks up a phone today and says, I'm scared, buddy, there'll be 3 cruisers out here,
100%.
guy in your backyard, taking you to the station.
100%.
And I'm not kidding when I say this. Literally, I'm not kidding when I say this. Like, what is the state of manhood and what is the state of policing and all this and the system itself where everybody has to get paid, whether it's judges, lawyers, and divorce is not cheap. I can tell you, it's thousands of dollars, brother. How is this a great deal for men? How is this a good deal?
Well, it's not.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Like, tell me in any way that this is a fair deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's talk about like the recent, the recent story you told me off camera, like you went through. You don't even tell me the details, so let's get it on camera. I mean, you went through a crazy story recently about what happened with you with the shooting and stuff. So why don't you go on and tell me about that and how was your interaction with the police in that scenario? And I just want you to feel comfortable, and if you're okay, like it's the first time I know you're revealing this.
For sure.
So go ahead, man. Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, so I've always been kind of naive in the fact that I never thought there was danger. I thought I was safe everywhere. I mean, I was always very vigilant about what's going on around me, but I was always kind of naive to the crime and the violence that's actually out there. And so I ended up buying this watch with my commissions. Super proud of the watch. I worked very hard for it. And I'm walking back from the office to my Lambo.
Do you want to show that watch?
You guys can see the watch right
sick
here.
Watch.
Yeah.
Sick Prezi, bro.
Prezi. I'm walking back to my car. It's like 9:30 p.m. It's dark. I'm parked in the back.
Which car were you in?
Of course, in the Lamborghini.
Okay.
The top was down. So I walked back to my car, and that night, for some reason, like all my senses were off. Sat in the car, and the top was down, of course. As soon as I sat in the car, I looked up. Black SUV pulled up in front of me. 6 guys with guns.
What SUV was it?
It was a Honda CRV.
CRV, eh?
CRV.
Yeah. Masked up guys?
6 masked up guys. Obviously, the roof is down, so I can't really defend myself.
And this was on what street?
This was in Mississauga, right by the airport.
Okay.
Gun touching my head. Give us your watch. And I mean, you don't know what you're gonna do in that situation until that situation happens. It's so easy to say, "Oh, I would have given him the watch," or "You should have done this," or "You should have done that." You don't know until you're in that situation.
I've had a gun pointed on my head too.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what
in
I'm
Waterloo.
talking about.
It's my first day in Waterloo.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about my story because the crazy story about the brother that did it, he's a friend of mine now. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He went through his own challenges. He actually went in the system. Great brother though, changed his whole life around. He was in a life of crime, had a gun on my head too. But anyways, go ahead, keep going.
So black SUV, I sit in the Lambo, top is down, black SUV pulls up in front, and as soon as it pulled up, it's just like the whole world slows down. 6 guys come out with guns. Like I said, barrel touching my head. Give us your watch. And like I said, you don't know what you're gonna do in that situation. And I didn't know I had it in me, to be honest with you, because back in the day, I would be the guy that would run away from a fight.
Okay.
Because I didn't want conflict. I didn't want to fight. But who knew I had it in me? They said, "Give us your watch." I told them no. You're not getting my watch. They said, "Give us your watch. We're gonna shoot you." I said, "No, you're not."
Okay.
They said, "Give us your watch again." I said, "No," and they just started beating me in the head with these guns, like really hard, beating me in the head with the guns, beating me with the guns. "Give us the watch." I said, "No," and I guess as they were beating me, I went like this to protect myself, and I actually saw the police footage. The one guy went over the car like this, and I guess
which cameras were recording it?
On the buildings around.
Okay.
Yeah, and he stabbed me here. I didn't even know I got stabbed.
Yeah.
So he stabbed me.
Can I see the stab, bro?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was deep.
Oh, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah, it was like this. It was like this wide and this deep.
I don't know if the camera saw it. You want to show it in the camera, bro? That's pretty insane. Oh, that's a bad stab,
It was bad.
That's bad.
I didn't know I got stabbed. And so it stabbed me.
Right in the tricep, too.
I didn't know I got stabbed. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do next? I go to open the Lambo door.
Yeah.
And I guess the guy was beside me with the gun.
Yeah.
As soon as I opened the door, he shot.
Yeah.
Shot me in the leg.
Yeah.
And they ran off. And so I'm sitting there. I heard a gunshot. I see I'm bleeding. I feel great. Like I'm like, all right, I feel Gucci. Like let's go.
Yeah.
I get out of the car. I'm walking. I see there's a hole in my leg. It's small. But I'm like, okay, my leg's fine. I'm walking. I'm bleeding over here. I'm like, okay, I got shot twice. But I'm good. I'm walking around, and then one of the guys walks up to me. He's like, bro, let me see that. He's like, dude, like you're not good. You need to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, bet. So I picked up the phone, called the ambulance. I was on the ambulance, bleeding to death.
Yeah.
I'm on the phone with the ambulance, with the police. Sorry. I tell them my name. I'll tell them everything.
Yeah.
This is where I am. Come get me. But the next thing that I did was I saw Karen, Christian's wife, KT, the cockroach. His wife comes and I'm like, in the middle of all this, I just got shot. I just got stabbed. Like I'm bleeding to death. But I'm a action focused kind of guy. What's next?
Yeah.
I get up bleeding to death, but what's next? Here's the key to the Lambo. Make sure KT gets the Lambo home. Here's my watch. Here's my necklace. Oh, by the way, they didn't get the watch.
Yeah.
Because
you ain't giving that.
get the watch.
You ain't giving that. You'd rather die.
Yeah, I'd rather
die.
I'd rather die.
Yeah.
You want my shit?
Yeah.
Either you're gonna kill me or
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And next time I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
You want my shit? It ain't free.
Yeah.
I didn't know I had that in me, but that's what it is.
Good, man.
Okay?
I gotta respect you for that, man.
Hell yeah. And then I gave them the stuff.
Yeah.
One of the girls was a nurse, so I was sitting on the curb. She wrapped me up, wrapped up my leg, waited for the ambulance, drove to the hospital. They had me on this big table. There was like 40 doctors around. They stripped me naked. It was pretty intense, man.
Yeah. And how about police? How fast did police come?
Police were quick.
Yeah, they were
Police
there?
were quick. They were good. Everybody at the hospital was amazing. All the doctors. I was really surprised at the healthcare. They actually killed it at the hospital.
Which police service
Kudos.
came?
Sorry?
Which police service came? Peel Regional?
Yeah, it was Peel Police, and I think I was at St. Michael's Hospital. Kudos to you guys. I mean, they killed it. They had me on that table.
What kind of detective did a detective come and talk to you?
Yep, there was a detective. Luckily, you know.
Did they find the guys?
I won't get into that.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Luckily, the stab wound didn't hit anything critical. The gunshot went straight through my leg. Didn't hit anything critical. So they released me. I went home that night. I walked out of the hospital.
Bro. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
God saved
God
you.
was there, man. God was there. God.
You feel it in those moments, eh?
Oh, insane.
It's like me when I had a crazy car accident. When
100%.
I was 19, I crashed a BMW. I had an 04, specced out. I bought it off a Serbian guy in Kitchener. I had a truck. I had a head-on truck.
Yeah.
That accident, like nothing happened to us, but like that's when you felt God was there.
100%.
God had to teach me a lesson about certain
100%.
things in life that I had to go
100%.
through as a man.
And I'm sure he had to teach me a lesson too. You know, don't post where you are.
Yeah.
Make sure, you know, stay behind the scenes a little bit. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
But I learned a lesson in that. But God was definitely there. If he wasn't, I would have. I'm lucky to be here. To
Yeah,
be honest with you.
imagine
But
the shot
God,
you had,
God
right?
knew that I have a bigger purpose.
What was the bullet size that went through you?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
You didn't get those info?
No.
You didn't get that info?
No.
Okay.
But there's a hole in my Lambo seat too.
No, I know. But
Yeah.
what normally, like, I want to know what gun was it,
I
right?
don't know. It was
Yeah.
very small.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a 9mm, probably.
Probably 9mm.
Probably 9
yeah.
mil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a street
But-
gun too. Like it probably wasn't a registered gun or whatever.
Oh, 100% it wasn't registered, but honestly, getting shot is pretty.
100%.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It feels amazing.
I know a lot of guys that got shot.
Huh?
I know a lot of guys that got shot.
Yeah. It feels amazing. It's just, I'm lucky that nothing else bad happened from that. So.
Well, I'm thankful you're alive, man. Like, that would be crazy to hear that, but we're here today.
100%.
So what would be your advice to like a young man out there today? Like before we close off the show, I would want to hear what is your advice for men, a young man coming up. You know, he wants to have a life. He wants to eventually have kids. And I know you don't have kids yet still. And you've seen a lot of people that do, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of divorces and separation and stuff around you, like the guys that we know. What is your advice to the young kid who's watching this to take home that, hey, what does a man have to do today? And how does a man respond to the stuff that he's prone to happen? Like the system is made for things to go against him. It is what it is.
100%.
What does a man do? What does a man do in a situation where, you know, he wants to take care of his kids, but today, you know how women are, wants to leave you, they're trying to, parental alienation is a thing, right? Fathers, I know a lot of fathers haven't seen their kids in ages. I'm one of them, where I haven't got to see my daughter recently too because of situations I went through,
right.
And we're still in court and whatnot, but what does a man do? Like, what does a man do, bro?
Are you asking what a man does when he's younger? How is he on the come up, or are you
Or
asking
everything?
when he's
Like,
married?
I think everything. I think what is a man? What is a frame of a man? Like let's talk about frame. Like I know Richard Cooper talks about this a lot, and I would love to have him on the pod as well too one day.
I'm sure he'll come.
But the thing is, what does a man do today?
You can only control the things you can control. Focus on that. Forget about all the external stuff. If you're a young man and you're watching this, you're 20 years old, you're 18 years old, cut out everything that's not getting you to where you want to go. Cut out the weekends out, cut out the girls, cut out the watching sports, cut out family barbecues, cut everything out. It's how bad do you want it. It's not about what you got to add, it's about what you got to cut out. You got to really love not going to these things that everybody else feels like they're missing out. But they're going to go to all these events, they're not going to miss birthdays, they're going to go to every single wedding, they're going to go to every single barbecue, and 10 years down the road they're going to look back and they put zero focus on themselves. And so as a man, you got to focus on you. If you become the best man that you can be, you're going to get the top women, you're going to get the best money, other men are going to respect you, right? So it's all you can do is focus on yourself, get better, and cut out all the noise. Take everything else out and focus on just building the best version of you. Be selfish. Because if you don't look after you, the women won't care. And your kids won't care either. Because if you focus all your attention on your family, on your wife, on everybody else, you can't become the leader for them to actually follow you.
And what do you say about God and the importance of God and having that spiritual connect? How important is that for a man today? In today's dying version, in today's society, they're trying to make it a godless society. God and religion has no role, whether it's family, whether it's the after family, whether it's when you're divorced. Like, no one cares about what the rules of God are. What would you say to that in terms of how important this God has been for you in your life, and what would you say for the men coming up, how important it is to have that faith, and what does faith mean to you?
So I'll be honest with you, I was never super religious. I was not the guy that would go to church. I was not the guy that would do any of that stuff, really. But I always knew right from wrong. And I think that's what God is. It's knowing what's right and what's wrong, and following that system of God is always watching you. And so if you're doing the right things, if you're always sticking to your word, if you're not screwing anybody over, if you're helping people, if you're making an impact in the world, I think God is watching and he'll protect you. But if you don't, you're going to find out real quick, life's going to be very hard for you. And not to say you can't turn that around, because you can always turn around. God will forgive you, right?
God is merciful.
God
He's
is
the most merciful.
100%.
His mercy is second to none.
100%. So
right?
It's never too late to actually turn your life around. Doesn't matter what you've done in your life. I believe that anybody can come back from, even the guys that shot me, bro. They can turn around and become better humans from that experience. Are they going to do that? Who knows? But I believe that we're all humans. We all have a conscience. We all have a heart. We're all here, for a purpose. It's just a matter of finding that purpose and going after it.
Alex Lucic, thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you for coming on the pod.
Appreciate
Episode number 1. Guys, if you like our content, please subscribe and share. We're going to be bringing a lot more podcasts and a lot more guests. Subscribing means a lot to us to further this channel. Our genuine intention is to make men better, make a better place for men, and give you guys valuable content of what it is to be a man today, whether it's faith, religion, business. And with that, we'll sign off on the podcast.
Sweet.
Thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, bro.